Okay. Is this Sam? Can you? Yeah, that's good. Okay. Oh, 可以。Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Tassa bhagavato. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo Sadanto Suchedoye Olahadi Samyao Sanputoshe. Wu Shang Shen Shen Wei Miao Fa Bai Qian Wan Xue Nan Xiao Yu Wo Jin Jian Wen De Shou Chi Yuan Jie Ru Lai Zhen Shi Yi. Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 师父上人，各位师兄，大家阿弥陀佛. Venerable Master, Dhamma friends, welcome to our Sutra lecture. My name is Heng Shi. Tonight is Monday, December 18th in the evening. We're here in the Buddha Hall at Gold Coast Dharma Realm. We're about to investigate the third night in our series of the Amitabha Sutra. We're doing an Amitabha retreat here, day number 3. Looking forward to digging into tonight's text with all of you. And I want to appreciate with gratitude the volunteers who are helping translate for me so I can speak one language and focus my brain in one direction instead of shifting, which is also good, but it cuts our time in half, the amount of things I can say. And it provides a much better quality Chinese translation because the translators are actual speakers of Chinese, not somebody who learned it from books. So I want to respectfully acknowledge Kombu-Meri people of the Ugambi language region here in southeastern Queensland, traditional storytellers, custodians of the land where the monastery is located. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 我们恭敬地承认与冈北语族的贡布马里人是我们寺院所在地的传统叙事和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且赠送为放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。Speaking of which, that's a really nice translation. I appreciate how fluent that is. Okay, ready? Here we go. Bells sound wide resound throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000界内，佛法扬万亿国中，共训其法界和平，利益报他诺后的。Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. 感恩法师，感恩翻译师兄为我们翻译。There you go. Tonight, there are 64 of us online here, and they come from, let's take a look. They come from the Gold Coast, Jinan Faji Igong, okay, from Malaysia, from, wow, Connie, it's late at night. It's early in the morning there. Let's see, from Taipei, from Sunnyvale, where, let's see, just for fun, we got some diehards listening in. That would be, let's see here, 1 a.m. in California. Should get some sleep. Let's see here, Tianjin, 还有黑龙江, 还有 Karina and Ethan. Where do you think they're listening from? Wow, I don't, maybe Reedy Creek. Wow. London, okay, Taipei, let's see here, Malaysia, Taipei, 黑龙江, Beijing, 杭州, 冯家佑收听。Okay, Liaoning, also Manchuria. Shenzhen,内蒙古, we're being listened to from Inner Mongolia. That is quite remarkable. Let's see here, from Xini, okay, Sydney, Liaoning, Zhejiang, 还有黑龙江. Manchuria wins by far. If we were giving prizes for the most participation, Suzhou and Anhui, Suzhou. And then Shanxi, let's see here, Fujian, Quanzhou, Hebei, Tangshan, Shanghai, Guangdong, let's see, Guangdong Zhongshan, okay, yeah, Beijing, Hebei, all right, Heilongjiang, Malaysia, Jiangsu, Zhenjiang, 还有什么地方 ？OK， 呼和浩特 ，Yeah， 北京、深圳、山东 ，all over China， 南京、北京，OK， 北京 ，and then GCDR， OK， that's and then let's see here, Anyang from Henan, that's new, Shandong and Malaysia. Good. Then people are coming as we speak. All right, now we promised last night that tonight we would look at what is one of the things that is called the 5 Sutras of the Pure Land. Originally there were 3. Then according to a monk named Yin Guang, he said actually there are 4. And that he was, people disputed that. What was he doing? He was taking one small piece of the Shurangama Sutra called Great Strength Bodhisattva's Perfect Understanding Through Mindfulness of the Buddha. That's the name of this. It's a little chapter. You can recite it in 2 minutes. And in that chapter, Great Strength Bodhisattva, Dashaja Pusa, he says that the best way to get enlightened is to recite the Buddha's name. And so Master Yin Guang said there, that is qualifies that piece of the Shurangama Sutra. It's a little chapter. He said that's good enough to qualify it as the 4th Sutra of the Pure Land. Anybody who has done evening ceremony here at Gokostamaram, you know at night we go, thus I have heard at one time the Buddha dwelt at Shavasti in the Cheda Grove, in the garden of the benefactor of orphans in the solitary, together with a gathering of great bhikshus, 1,250 in all great arhats whom the assembly knew and recognized. That is the Amitabha Sutra, called the shorter Amitabha Sutra, the Omito Jing, Fo Shuo Omito Jing. That is the most well-known and beloved carrier of the story of Amitabha, the Buddha who built the Pure Land. And it's a happy story, because who doesn't want to go to a place where suffering is over? So there's that one. There are 2 more that are longer, and one of them carries all 48 vows that Amitabha made. That's the Contemplating the Buddha of Limitless Lifespan, Guan Wuliang Shoujing. That's one. So, and then there's one called Wuliang Shoujing. So those are the 3 basic sutras. Well, Master Yin Guang added a 4th one, and then later he said, actually, you know what? There are 5. I'm going to consider the last chapter of the Avatamsaka Sutra is also a Pure Land Sutra. And oh man, there's he got a lot of flack for it. This monk was a 19th and 20th century monk who was totally radical. He was didn't care that people disrespected him, gossiped about him. He was, I guess you call it, an iconoclast. I'm going to do it my way. And he was such a dynamic individual. He had so much virtue that he pretty much won. He swayed the popular opinion, and people said, okay, there are 5 Pure Land Sutras. Let me show you one of them. here's one of them right here. Practices, let's see here. Smart Butters practices, that one? Yeah, here we are. Put that away. Let's see here. Gonna make it bigger. There we go. There we go. There we go. Here it is. This is chapter 40 of the Avatamsaka Sutra, called Chapter on Entering the Inconceivable Liberated State of Universal Worthies, Practices and Vows. It's called Ru Bu Si Yi Jie Tuo Jing Jie Pu Xian Heng Yan Pin, chapter 40. Why do I want you to look at this? Because I'm going to point out the little piece of this sutra that qualifies this text to join the other four. It's not here. It's not here. It's not there. It's right here. Starting right there, all the way down to there. That's it. That's what we're going to look at tonight. You'll notice it's just a little 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs of this longer text. And you can see after this part, here come the verses. You know how Buddhist sutras are prose and then verses that repeat, right? Well, look at the verses. Whoa, there's a lot. And I know people who not a day passes that they don't recite this entire thing from memory, every day, every day, every day. That's a real practice. And of these verses, there are 4 that repeat that little section that we saw. They are, show you right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that little piece of the prose that we saw, and in these 5 verses, that's it. This is where in the Avatamsaka Sutra, it talks about Amitabha. And boy, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. To have, because the Avatamsaka Sutra, that's what we lecture on here twice a week. What is it? It's the Bodhisattva path. And to say, yes, that important sutra is also a Pure Land Sutra, people go, I never realized that. That's true, huh? Yeah, okay. Why do they say that? Take a look right here. Let's start. Oh, that's going to be too small. Can't see that. Here we go. Put that there. Put that there. We will make it big. All right. Why not? Live it up. Life is short. 大方广佛华严经普贤恒愿品, the Avatamsaka Sutras chapter on practices and vows of Samantabhadra. Here it is. Here's that section that I promised you. Now, I know not everybody can read these, so if you'd like to read with me, I'm going to put my palms together, those of you who can. You might make those of you who can't want to learn. Right? Right? Get on it, Ben. Get on it, Donna. Here we go. 又复诗人临命终时，最后刹那，一切诸根悉皆散坏，一切亲属悉皆舍离，一切为师悉皆退逝，辅相大臣，功成内外，相马车乘，珍宝富藏，如是一切，无复相随，唯此愿望，不相舍离。 欲一切时引导其前，一刹那中即得往生极乐世界。Okay, now let's, I'm going to put it in context and we'll read it. Here is what's going on. The sutra, the substance of the sutra is Samantabhadra telling Sudana about 10 practices. Tells him how to bow, how to praise, how to make offerings, how to repent, etc. After number 10, there's a change, and he starts talking about all the things that happen to you if you practice according to those 10 things, all the good stuff. It's the benefits part. He talks about all the changes that'll happen in your life, all the real rewards that you get from cultivating those 10 practices and vows. Then, out of the blue, without any context whatsoever, it shifts. And here's what it says. Okay, now I'm going to read. You're welcome to join if you'd like, but when we read together, the punctuation is our friend. Comma, space means what? Breathe, right? Comma, space, comma, comma, all the way down. It's a long compound sentence. When we get a period, white space, breathe. Okay? So, also, when we read together, reading in unison is something we don't get to do enough. When was the last time you got invited to read together in unison, right? So, it's good to use our ears. Listen to the people around us, because the goal when we're reading together in unison is harmony. It can sound really good. And let your voice come out if you care to join. Not too loud, but also not soft either, so that people around you can hear you and you can hear others. Then, wow, it really goes in deep. And you'll realize tonight, as your head's on the pillow, hey, I remember pieces of that's amazing, right? Okay, let's try it. Ready? Here we go. Furthermore, when a person is on the verge of death, at the last instant of life, when all his sense faculties scatter, hold on, pause. This is gender non-specific. Ready? And he departs from his kin and friends, when all power and influence are lost and nothing survives, when a ruler's prime minister, cabinet officials, his inner courts and surrounding cities, his elephants and horses, carriages and treasuries of crown jewels can no longer accompany him, pause, breathe, these kings of vows alone will remain with him. They will constantly guide him forward, and in a single instant, he will be reborn in the land of utmost happiness. Okay? So you can add pronouns as you choose. Here we go. What's going on? Suddenly, in the midst of the benefit section of our sutra, it starts talking about somebody on their deathbed. Now, it's spoken of from the context of a king or a queen, a ruler, because most 90% of the people alive then were farmers. They were rural. They were agrarian. They're the only ones who could read, who had time to not plow the ground to bring food out. They could study. So that's kind of who dominate the intellectual climate, right? So it's talking about a king or a minister, somebody who is a person of means. It's not limited to them. It's true also for each one of us. Furthermore, when you're at the point of death, the last instant of life, when all your sense faculties scatter, that's really what happens, is lying there on the bed or wherever let's hope it's as peaceful as that, your eyes get dim, your ears, the energy pulls away from your nose, your tongue. It just centers in your body, you get cold. when you depart from your kin and friends. Gathered around your bed, there might be children, spouses, partners. At that time, all of your power, all of your influence, all of your reputation goes. You can't take it with you. Now, it gets really specific. If you were the king, if you were a person of power, when your prime minister, your cabinet officials, your inner court, your cities, your elephants, think SUVs, right? Your horses, your carriages, your treasuries of crown jewels, your what? Your bank account, your securities, your stock portfolio, none of it can go with you except the king's vows, meaning the practices that you've done earlier in the sutra that Samantabhadra was talking about. In other words, the good karma you create still with you, particularly these kings of vows. They guide you forward, and in a single instant, poof, there you are in Amitabha's land. Okay, everybody following? This is the story of what's it like when you get reborn in the Pure Land. People think, oh, I wish I could be reborn in the Pure Land. Well, let's say you succeed. What's it like? Right? So this is it. This is the story. Here you are, reborn in the Pure Land. Ready? Here we go. 道以即见阿弥陀佛，文殊师利菩萨，普贤菩萨，观自在菩萨，弥勒菩萨等，此诸菩萨，四相断言，功德具足，所供围绕。Arriving there, he will see Amitabha Buddha, Manjushri Bodhisattva, Universal Worthy Bodhisattva, the Bodhisattva who contemplates at ease, Maitreya Bodhisattva, and others. The appearance of these enlightened ones will be upright and adorned. Their merit and virtue will be complete as they circumambulate him together. Okay, you know how the story goes in the first three Amitabha Sutras. It describes the way the Buddha set it up. This is the vows that he made as he created the Pure Land. He said, you leave your deathbed, and that eighth consciousness that we talked about last night, that the carrier of your good and bad karma goes off. Instead of going to see King Yama, or even if it goes to see King Yama, the karma that you create with the Pure Land takes you to a lotus flower. That's how he set it up. There are 9 grades of lotus, and there's 3 at the top level, 3 in the middle, and 3 at the lower grade. And depending on what we did, depending on what you did, that's where you're reborn. And in one of those grades. And let's say you're at the top, the Shang Pin Shang Sheng, they call it, the highest grade. The flower opens immediately, and there's the Buddha, Amitabha, welcoming you. Manjushri, Samantabhadra, Guanyin. This is the Bodhisattva who contemplates at ease. Avalokiteshvara, Avalokita. She is there. Guanyin welcomes you. Maitreya, Bodhisattva, and others, they look really nice. They look super, just like you've imagined they would be, and they circle you. They say, well done. You made it. You're here in the Pure Land. So glad. So glad you made it. At that point, your rebirth is over. You don't die at that point. Okay? Amazing. Okay, more. Ready? Here we go. 其人自见生莲华中，蒙佛受记，得受记已，竟欲无数百千万亿，哪有他劫？普欲十方不可说世界，以智慧力，随众生心而为利益。This person will see him herself born from a lotus flower, and will receive a prediction from the Buddha. In this way, he will pass through numberless hundreds of thousands of myriads of nayutas of eons. With the power of wisdom, he will accord with the minds of living beings in order to benefit them everywhere throughout indescribable, inexpressible worlds in the 10 directions. Okay, you can put your palms down. 可以放掌. Okay, what happens? You're born from a lotus. Lotus blossom is your mom. It's the womb that you come from, pure. And the Buddha says, oh, you know what? You're going to become a Buddha. You receive a prediction. So the first thing that happens in the Pure Land is you come out of the lotus flower, and Amitabha goes, all right, I see you. Your success is guaranteed, and this is what it's going to be like in the future later. Then what happens? Look, you go through numberless hundreds of thousands of myriads of nayutas of eons. 无数百千万亿哪有他劫? An eon, that's an actual, I think it's something like 14 zeros, number of years. So you can count them. This is mathematical. A nayota, that's a number that has a name like 1,000, million, billion, trillion. Nayuta means countless, countless. 10 million, 10,000, 10,000, 100, 无数, no numbering. So innumerable hundreds of thousands of 10,000s of millions of countless eons in the Pure Land, there in the Pure Land, without leaving, without being reborn. 普语十方. With the power of wisdom, you accord with the minds of living beings to benefit them everywhere throughout indescribable, inexpressible worlds in the 10 directions. What does it mean to accord with the minds of living beings using wisdom? It means in the Pure Land, we are going to school. We're in a Bodhisattva teaching academy. My understanding of what this says is the Pure Land is a place where we learn how to teach. Why? Because we're going to leave the Pure Land and become a Buddha. And this is where we learn how to accord to the minds of living beings, teach people in ways they understand. That's what it is. So let's check that. My mom, for example, my mom was a good Christian churchwoman, Methodist. In Australia, it's the Uniting Church. She really, really wanted to be born at the right hand of God. That was her understanding. She wanted to be born in heaven, and that was the goal. And she really believed it, as did her mom. And her older sister, my Aunt Lucienne, who was a strong Christian. I never pressed her to say, and then what, Mom? Because I know the answer would have been, well, it's very nice. It's very, very wonderful. You know, it's like, nobody talks about that. They say, oh, you float around, you got a harp, you're on a cloud, it's blissful, you know. At least in Islam, they tell you that, you know, you're surrounded, it's pleasure, they say. So that's a little more concrete. But I never got a picture in Christian theology about heaven the way Samantabhadra Bodhisattva says, when you go up to the Pure Land, the Buddha says, okay, you're going to be a Buddha in the future, but not yet. Because why? You've got to learn how to accord with the minds of living beings to help them wake up. It's a school. The Pure Land is a training academy for your future as a Buddha, because you've got people that you need to take across. Look what happens next. Are we ready? It's not over. More. Here we go. 不久当作菩提道场，降伏魔君，成等正觉， 转妙法轮，能令佛刹，即为陈述世界众生发菩提心，随起根性，教化成熟，乃至尽于未来界海，广能利益一切众生。Okay, there we go. Ready? Before long, he will sit in a bodhimanda, subdue the demonic armies, accomplish equal and proper enlightenment, and turn the wonderful Dharma wheel. He will cause living beings in worlds as many as fine motes of dust in Buddha lands to bring forth the resolve for Bodhi. He will accord with their fundamental natures in teaching and transforming them, bringing them to maturity. Even until the end of an ocean of eons in the future, he will thus widely benefit all living beings. Here's what happens next. Before long, that person who has been training there in the Pure Land leaves the Pure Land to go down to a world and find a Bodhi tree to sit under, to wake up after you subdue the demons, just like our story of Gautama, Siddhartha, right? You read Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha, there he is. Or you've seen Keanu Reeves in Little Buddha, there it is. Keanu Reeves subdues the demon armies, gets enlightened, accomplishes enlightenment, and then starts to teach, turn the Dharma wheel. What happens next is the teachings of that Buddha wakes up beings in worlds as many as fine motes of dust in Buddha lands to get them to get enlightened. He accords with their natures to teach them, to transform them, to bring them to maturity, and benefits living beings for an ocean of eons in the future. In other words, Buddhahood and the work that Buddhists do. I mean, right? Am I wrong? That's what I see here. This is what happens in the Pure Land, is we go to work to learn how to teach living beings. We're trained for our future Buddhahood. So the Pure Land is not the ultimate destination. Buddhahood is the ultimate destination. The Pure Land is where we get our wherewithal. We learn how to teach. That's what it says. And that was a big awakening for me to realize, wow, it's like the Pure Land is not, a resort. It's not Palm Springs. It's where you go to learn to teach. Interesting. Now, the repetitive verses come back to teach the same Dharma, and let's see how it says. Now, I want to say a word about this. Let's see here. I gotta put my face on here. There we go. Speaker. Oh, there I am. Hi there. Okay.
Recording in progress.
The computer audio. There we go. Okay. Here we go. Scholars will tell you that the verse part of sutras is the older part. True or false? Scholars have their value. They say that the verse part came first, and then the prose part said it again. Why do they think that? It's because anybody who's ever tried to remember anything, to memorize anything, it's easier to memorize if it goes bump, ba, bump, ba, bump, bump, bump. You connect it to your heartbeat. Bump, 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 bump. If it has a meter, if it's poetic, if it's got a beat to it, it's much easier to remember than just lines of prose. So these sutras were not written down at first. They were memorized at first, written down in your heart. So it's possible. It's possible. And that's, we can reflect on it. Is it true? Nobody's ever going to prove that because we can't go back in time to know. But scholars have theories, and maybe so. Here's how it goes. Ready? 愿我临于命中时，尽除一切诸障碍，面见彼佛阿弥陀，即得往生安乐刹。When my life approaches its end, may all obstructions be swept away. I will see Amitabha Buddha and be born in his land of utmost bliss. Okay? What does that sound like? That sounds like our prose section up ahead, right? So here you are in your deathbed. I was talking the other night with Yin Yung about what's it like when you're at life's end. How many of us will be clear and possessed of all our faculties and able to go, oh, now's the time to recite Namo Amitofo, Namo Ami. No, mostly we're like in a coma or in pain or distracted or afraid. It's really, really hard to keep focus on the mind when we know that our six senses are shutting down and darkness is coming. So that's why we don't wait. We don't wait to recite the Buddha's name to the end. You want to do it now while we can choose our next thought. Often at the end of life, we can't choose our next thought. So here it says, when my life reaches its end, may all obstructions be swept away. Then I will see Amitabha Buddha, who will take me to that lotus flower. Okay, ready? Next one, here we go. 我即往生彼国以先前成就此大愿，一切圆满尽无余，利乐一切众生皆。When reborn in his western land, I will make perfect and completely fulfill these great vows, all without exception, to delight and benefit all beings. Now, I didn't mention one important part of this, which is the emphasis in what happens, 可以放掌，不必合掌. The emphasis is on making living beings happy. Did you notice? That's what it's about. I like that, and we shouldn't lose sight of that. The point of the Dharma is to give us peace of mind, to give us a sense of well-being, to give us purpose, to transform emotion keep it in balance with logic and reason, and to delight, li, le, iche zhong sheng jie, to bring good things and to make happy the realm of beings. It's very easy to lose sight of that when we're working so hard to cultivate. So sometimes you just want to kick back and make living beings happy, right? Here we go. Next. 彼佛终会现清净，我是于上莲花上，尽度如来无量光，现前受我菩提记。The assembly of Amitabha Buddha is completely pure when from a matchless lotus I am born. I'll see his light as he appears before me to bestow a prediction of Bodhi. So the bodhisattvas come to greet you. That's what it says. You're born from a lotus, yeah? You limitless light, Buddha, a limitless light. And what does he do? He says, you're going to be a Buddha. You got work to do. You're not there yet, but your success is guaranteed. predicted. This is one of those fascinating parts of Mahayana teaching, this prediction of enlightenment. Shou, Ji, Bie Hao. That's amazing how that works. It's kind of mysterious. I mean, how do they know? How does the Buddha know that your Buddhahood is guaranteed, right? So that's interesting. So there it is. Sounds good. Now, could this be the basic layer of Pure Land teaching that then the prose section is extended from this? Maybe so. Okay, one more. Here we go. 蒙蔽如来受记忆，化身无数百具之，智力广大遍十方，普利一切众生界。After my prediction from the Tathagata, I'll transform countless myriads of Buddhas. With great wisdom, I'll pervade the 10 directions to benefit the realms of living beings. Okay, after you get your prediction, you hua shen, you appear in, I will transform myself into countless myriads of Buddhas. My hua shen, my transformed bodies will be innumerable. With great wisdom, I will, Pian Shifang, go everywhere to help people out, benefit the realms of living beings. Just kind-hearted, using kindness, using wisdom, using skill, using expedient means. You go around to help people wake up. That's what it's about. This is the Bodhisattva path. And I tell you, it pushes my buttons. I like this a lot. I can't think of anything better to do with your life than to say, in the future, I want to become a Buddha so I can make other people's pain go away. Then the conclusion, and this is an absolutely Avatamsaka type conclusion. Here we go. Ready? 乃至虚空世界尽，众生寂业烦恼尽，如是一切无尽事，我愿究竟恒无尽。Realms of worlds and space might reach an end. Beings' karma and afflictions can be finished. Yet none of these will ever be exhausted, and neither will any of my vows. Will never stop. Let's see, better. Will never stop. And neither will any of my vows. This is an Avatamsaka conclusion. So, a world might end. Don't hold your breath, but it might. Space might reach an end. Don't hold your breath, but it might. Karma, going to end? Not likely. Afflictions? Nope, still making them. They could, in theory, but since none of these will never stop, my vows, like these, will never stop either. That's an Avatamsaka conclusion. Okay, there you go. Now, this is a piece of a piece. I've given you just the that little section from the mid part, the benefit part of Samantabhadra's practices and vows, and then we went ahead to the verses and pulled out the 5 verses that repeat. That's it. Just that is what inspired Yin Guang Dashi to say that makes the Avatamsaka Sutra a Pure Land teaching. Here it is. Okay? And it's got a lot of resonance because it takes us right to the deathbed, right there at the end of life. No kidding around. And it describes it very realistically. Says, yep, nothing, can't take anything with you, even if you're the king. Goes away. Except these Da Yuan Wang, the kings of vows, which are bowing in respect to the Buddha, praising a thus come one, called extensively, making offerings, repenting of karma. Those familiar 10, those are the 10 kings of vows. And the cultivation you do in those stays with you. As well as what? Buddha recitation, Namo Amitofo, the mantra, Namo Amidopoye Dotocheroye, that one, the sutra that you recite, anything that has to do with Amitabha is also included here. So those stay with you and they carry you past King Yama to the Pure Land. The Buddha greets you, come out of the lotus, they circumambulate you. The Buddha gives you a prediction. You start to go to school. You're there with other bodhisattvas, and you learn how to teach to make them happy. When your preparation is done, down you go to a world. You sit in a way place, sit in a monastery or under a Bodhi tree. Here at Gold Coast Dharma Realm, you wind up on the Arhat Trail next to one of the Arhats. You subdue the demons, you become a Buddha, turn the Dharma wheel, and teach according to people's needs and bring them to understand true principle. Even to the ends of an ocean of eons in the future, you benefit living beings. Cool. That's it. So, last night I said, anybody ever wonder what happens after you're reborn in the Pure Land? Here's the answer. That's the story. Okay. Take a little break from that idea, and I prepared. We haven't looked at this one for a while. I put a lot of songs together, and this particular song, of all the songs that I wrote, this is the one that the Theravada monks, particularly Ajahn Amaro, he seems to like the best. Theravada monks can't sing songs. They're not allowed. But they can request other monks to sing. So whenever I'm together with Ajahn Amaro and there's a guitar around, he says, "Could you please? Would you mind?" he says. So this is the story of, thank you, Sam, the prince. What has happened? It's another party. That's when you're a prince and you got a beautiful wife who's the princess. You're going to be the king in the future. It's guaranteed. Life is good. There's lots of parties, lots of celebrations, lots of late nights and dancing and entertainments. And this is the story of one of those nights. The prince has gone out to the four gates. He's seen an old person, he saw a sick person, he saw a corpse, and then he saw a monk. And the monk said, "You can get free if you cultivate the way." He comes back to the palace, and there's Yashodhara, his wife. This is the future queen. And she's sleeping. And she's also pregnant, interestingly enough. And what does he do? He says to her, "I think you're just the best. Goodbye." He says, "I've got to find a way out of this. I don't want to just die and leave you here." That's what most husbands do. They go before their wives. And so that's the tension in our story. This is our founding story. And then he does. He goes out. So Prince Siddhartha had a wife. He loved her like he loved life. She was fine, she was fair. When he said goodbye, he said to her, Yashodhara. Look at where life leads, Yashodhara. I'm gonna try to get free. You know what? I gotta make a break. Hold that note. I took a little trip into town. I learned that death will cut us down. I woke up by the city wall. Freedom to die is no freedom at all. Yashodhara. Look at where life leads. Yashodhara. I'm gonna try to get free. One more time. Hold that note. Like you, I never heard an old man sigh. I never knew that people die. I never heard a sick man moan. Today I learned this body ain't my home. Yashodhara. Death is haunting me. Yashodhara. Love won't set us free. And that's a controversial line. Some people have told me not to use that line. People won't accept it. Then I saw another man who walked in robes with bowl in hand. His gaze looked neither left nor right. His brow was clear, his eyes were bright. I asked him what he did all day. He said, I cultivate the way. I watch my mind, I watch my breath, and in the end it's life and death. Yashodhara, I couldn't love you more. Yashodhara, that's why I'm walking out this door. Get the thinking behind that one? It's not that he doesn't love her, it's that he does. He doesn't want to just die for nothing and leave her behind. Some will say that I'm a fool. Some will say I'm too cruel. This is the best thing I can do. And when I get free, I'll come back for you. Yashodhara. Look at where life leads. Yashodhara. I'm going to try to get free. And he did. By golly, he actually did. And came back for her. And so pretty amazing that's our story. That's our founding story. And it's hard. Leaving home is hard. There are some tears that are shed, but what do they say? It's pain that hurts good, and it's worth it in the end. Just ask my mom. She would grudgingly admit, probably worth it. She said in the end, I'm kind of glad that we've got a monk in the family, she said. I know that you're never going to be an alcoholic, and I know you're never going to be bankrupt, and I know you're never going to be a drug addict, and I won't have to worry about divorce, and I know you're probably never going to have a nervous breakdown. Having a monk in the family is okay, she said. Because all of her friends who used to say, poor Debbie, Chris just walked off the planet somewhere. He took a wrong road. They came back to her and said, Debbie, my son has got a little situation. Could you ask Heng Shi for a second opinion? So I became the monk in the neighborhood, which is not bad. Okay, time to transfer merit, and then we'll see you again tomorrow night. We're going to look into more of the issues of reciting the Buddha's name and how to make it part of our daily practice. Okay, that's tomorrow. All right. And for those translators who won't be here tomorrow, sending in, and the translators' families and all, wishing you Ilu Shunfeng, and please return quickly. Yeah. Okay, and then we'll be our translation manpower team is in good hands from tomorrow. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see, our hands and hearts can find in giving unity. May our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. All righty, may all those wishes come true. Here's our Buddha. We can bow to the Buddhas. Here in the Buddha Hall, of course, we can bow to our regular Buddhas too. Here we go. First bow. Second bow. And third bow. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. It's the first bow. And the second bow. And third bow.